Well, everybody, welcome to Interview Week here on the channel. And this week, of course, we are going to be interviewing a couple of commits from around the state. We're going to talk to a couple of South Alabama players, talk to an Auburn commit as well, and around the state, and just kind of preview the high school football season because football season's right around the corner. Next week, we will be doing predictions for high school and college. Week 0 does start next weekend. So, again, we're almost there. College football season's heating up, and I cannot be more excited for that as well. However, we are also doing videos throughout the week along with our interviews. So we're going to do live videos as well as interviews with these players. So hit that sub button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically get you updated for all of our latest videos dropping. Today, we are going to preview the SEC, though. We're going to talk about which teams are underrated in this conference like we normally did with every other conference that we did. We're going to talk about which teams, what are the powerhouses in this conference, and I'll give my SEC championship early predictions for you guys as well. So hit that sub button, leave a comment down below so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. Tomorrow, we will be breaking down my NFL fantasy football team, so stay tuned for those fantasy lovers out there. And then Wednesday, we will play our Road to Glory like normal, and then Thursday, of course, we will play our Vanderbilt Dynasty. So, lots of videos coming for you guys. Of course, hit that sub button, leave a comment down below so you don't miss out on any of our latest videos, interviews, and videos throughout the week. Like I said, next week we will be predicting high school football and college football because both of those are seemingly going to be back within the same week. So hit that sub button, leave a comment down below, and without further ado, let us go ahead and hop into this 2025 SEC preview. All right, let us first talk about, of course, the underdogs here in this conference like we always do. Who are the little teams that I think can make some runs in there, I guess you would say? Well, Vanderbilt's going to be number one, obviously. Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers are coming back for another year at Vanderbilt. Both of them got another year of eligibility towards their, of course, football careers in college. Now they are back, and I think that they're going to be a really, definitely a team to watch here in the SEC, just like last year, I believe. They will upset somebody. They're going to upset one of these teams here in the SEC, one of these quote-unquote powerhouses. But another team, Auburn. Auburn's been on the down low recently as of lately. It's no question about it. That last year they had a terrible year. The year before that, they just got to a bowl game. Hugh Freeze is kind of still picking up the slack from Brian Harsin. Obviously, when you look at the offensive weapons for Auburn, you got Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, yes. He's dealing with his whole side of things right now, but he should be good to go come week 1 against Baylor. Then you look at the quarterback. You got Jackson Arnold, Ashton Daniels, Deuce Knight. I feel like all of those guys can definitely contribute to this roster as well. Then on the defensive side, you got a big name in Keldrick Falk, who is a projected top 10 pick in this upcoming NFL draft, which is absolutely insane. The offensive lineman for Auburn is loaded with talent as well. So I look at Vanderbilt, I look at Auburn, I look at a couple of those other schools in there as well. Florida, I think they're going to be an interesting team to watch, which we'll talk about them in one of the powerhouses, I guess you would say. But Florida is going to be a team to watch. Oklahoma is going to be another team to watch with John Mater. John Mater, the transfer out of Oregon State, I believe. Auburn was trying to get him, but he ended up committing to Oklahoma with his offensive coordinator, which just makes sense, of course. So Oklahoma is going to be another team to watch here, one of those quote-unquote underrated teams. Last year, they didn't have a terrible year. With their first year in the SEC, Jackson Arnold did kind of play bad a little bit towards the end there, but what really can you work with there at Oklahoma and in his situation last year? So, again, Oklahoma, Auburn, Vanderbilt, those teams should definitely be making some noise in the SEC. There's also a couple of other teams in there as well. I know Tennessee is going to probably have a drop-off year this year. They're not going to be as good as they were last year because of the loss of Nico Imialiava, the loss of Dylan Sampson, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. You've got a couple of guys on defense that you lost to the NFL draft, including James Pierce Jr. and a couple of other ones. So Tennessee, they're not going to be anything great like they were this past year where they made the playoffs and almost beat Ohio State, but they're going to be a team to watch as well. So those 4 teams are the teams that I'm looking at. Vanderbilt, Auburn, of course. You got Tennessee in there as well. And I think I said Oklahoma as well. So those are kind of the teams that I'm looking at in the SEC to make a little bit of noise. I don't think Kentucky's going to really do anything this year. I don't think Missouri's going to do anything this year, just because they did lose some of the defensive guys Kentucky did to the NFL draft. And then, of course, Missouri losing Brady Cook and Luther Burden. Huge losses for them as well. So those two teams, I'm not expecting to make anything or any noise, I guess you would say, in the SEC this year. But I am expecting those four teams to upset somebody. I feel like they have the capabilities to upset somebody. Vanderbilt and Auburn actually already did it, and so did Oklahoma. They beat Alabama. So, again, all of these schools can definitely compete with each other in and out each week, but it's going to be about coaching and the playmaking abilities of these athletes as well. So, those are the four teams that I think are going to make a little bit of some noise here in the SEC. Let us talk about the contenders here for this conference. All right, let us go ahead and talk here about the contenders in the SEC. Who are the contenders, first of all? Well, I look at LSU, I look at Texas, I look at Georgia, and of course, I look at Ole Miss and Florida in there as well. I think those two teams will be in the mix, but they'll be a little bit lower on the mix side of things. Oh, and don't forget about the Alabama Crimson Tide as well. I think they'll be in there as well. So starting off, we'll talk about the Georgia Bulldogs for a second because they lose a lot of returning production from the previous year, but you do gain Zachariah Branch, and Gunnar Stockton is coming back for another year. So he's already played in a couple of big games for the Bulldogs, and I would expect them to, of course, compete here in the SEC week in and week out. They've got dogs on the defensive side of the ball. They've got dogs on the offensive side of the ball. So Georgia is one of those teams where I think they are going to compete here in the SEC week in and week out as well. Texas, the Arch Manning hype is real. Let's not shy away from that one. The Arch Manning is going to be really good for Texas, but when I look at Texas, it's going to be about the playmaking abilities of their wide receivers and how the defense is going to be compared to last year. Last year, the defense is what cost them the game in that Ohio State matchup, and I think that, of course, this year they play Ohio State week 1, but I think that the defense has to be on point for them to be really solid. Arch Manning can't do it all himself. I know a lot of people are kind of hyping him up to do it like that, but a lot of people don't realize that he cannot do it alone. And he's got to have some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball with him as well. I know they got 5-star commits galore, but very interested to see what they can do on the offensive side of the ball. And the other side of Texas, Texas A&M, right? Texas A&M, Kellen Mond, coming back for another year, I believe. He's going to be really good. But the defense for Texas A&M, Mike Elko is a defensive guy, and I'm just very curious on the way they are going to kind of run things scheme-wise at A&M as well this year. Last year, it did cost them a couple of games, especially when I look at the Auburn and the Texas game. Those two games, the most important games of the year, the defense didn't step up. So I'm very interested to see if anything has changed for them as well. Now, Alabama, another team that I think is going to be really, really solid on the offensive side of the ball. The question is the defense for Alabama. Once again, how is the defense going to be? Obviously, you do have one of your seniors coming back in Deontay Lawson for his senior season, so he's going to be a leader on the defensive side of the ball. But on the offensive side of the ball, you have a new quarterback. You have a new starting quarterback for, I believe, 2 years in a row now. Jalen Milroe last year, and then, of course, Keelan Russell, the starter, not Keelan Russell, but Ty Simpson is going to start over Keelan Russell, is what is believed, but we don't really know yet. Alabama hasn't really decided, and you're this close to the football season kicking off, and you haven't named a starting quarterback. So that's kind of where my thing lies with Alabama, my situation there. Then you look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a lot of young talent on the offensive side of the ball. I look at Caleb Cunningham, the 5-star wide receiver freshman, to make a really big impact. I look at their quarterback room that they have. They have a couple of really good quarterbacks in there as well. But it's going to be about turning the page for Lane Kiffin and see if he can move on from that, of course, Jackson Dart era in Ole Miss to, of course, be able to learn in the present and win football games right now when it comes time. And then Florida, Billy Napier, DJ Lagway coming back as well. We'll talk about South Carolina in a second and Lenore Sellers because I forgot to mention them. But DJ Lagway is coming back once again. You've got some Florida receivers who are making noises in fall camp right now, the 5-star receivers that they have. Wilson is making a lot of noise for Florida as well. there's some guys that are making noises for these teams, and I expect Florida, especially offensively, to look really, really good. Now, defensively is going to be the question for the Florida Gators, right? How are they going to fare against these other SEC offenses and stuff like that? So that's going to be very interesting to watch, but I do think that Florida is going to be really solid on the offensive side of the ball. And then the same thing for South Carolina. Shane Beamer and the Norris Sailors coming back for another year. They got dudes on the offense, but how's the defense going to look for them is the question. However, my SEC championship game predictions, I think it's going to be LSU, and I think it's going to be Texas here. I think both of those schools have really good players all around, including Garrett Nussmeier, one of the Heisman Trophy champions. I think LSU, with Whit Weeks coming back and Harold Perkins is coming back again as well, they're going to be really solid as well. And I think that they actually do win the SEC championship game. So I think LSU wins the SEC championship game against Texas here. Arch Manning, I think this is where experience is going to get him. But I think LSU versus Texas in the SEC championship is going to be a good one, with the LSU Tigers winning the conference. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's second video, or first video of the day, whichever one comes in that order. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn that bell on, as we do our best to post every day. Like I said, interview week happening all throughout the week, so stay tuned for some interviews with some South commits. We got a couple Auburn players in there as well, and we also have some really good 4-stars and 3-stars that we're going to talk to around the state too. So hit that sub button, leave a comment down below. That will get you subscribed so you guys don't miss out on any of the latest videos. Go follow our Twitter and Instagram pages, The Sports Lovers, as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will see you all in the next video.